Hello everybody on YouTube. Long time no see. I've been MIA for a while. I'm going to get into that a little bit later. But I have my yoga mat down. It's Friday morning. It's June 23rd. I believe we have a new moon today, either today or tomorrow. It's the Friday after the solstice. I'm in my new apartment, and here is my husband's and my new altar. So I just figured I'd show this off before diving into my morning yoga routine. So this table we got a lot of things at Goodwill. A lot of things we carried over from the old altar, which we used to keep on top of our dresser in our bedroom, but that wasn't really convenient because it was hard to blow out the candles because the dresser is quite tall and my husband is about 3 or 4 inches shorter than I am. And it was hard for me to blow the candles out, so imagine for him. So now we have this in our new living room in our new apartment, and I kind of like that it's out in the open. The older we both get, the less of a fuck we give about what people might say about having tarot cards out in the open or having something that's obviously an altar, but obviously a pagany altar out in the open. It's time to just own it and be more public about it, I guess, and not give a fuck. So here we go. So yeah, out of the hiding, here in the living room, right next to the TV, and our kitchen, which I love. It's so much better than our old apartment, oh my lord. Anyway, here we have our altar. I guess I'll start in the back. For the Divine Feminine, my husband likes the Virgin of Guadalupe. And here, close this for a second, we have La Santa Muerte, the candle for her. Here we have the all absolute spirit, all-encompassing existence. Here, this candle. And then for the Divine Masculine, we have Michael the Archangel. And these little label kind of things my husband made a while ago. Ooh. I'm burning some vanilla incense right now. It smells divine. So the left side of the altar is more the Divine Feminine side. So here we have water and our crystals in this bowl for earth, along with some animal bones. Just a wishbone here from a chicken I cooked a while ago. And here is a vertebrae from a cow, maybe, I believe. We make bone broth, and so, oh, this might be like an oxtail bone. But anyway, this was just a bone left over from some bone broth that we made a while ago that my husband kept and put on the altar because he liked it, liked the vibes he got from it. So yeah, here's just our larger crystals in this bowl. This wooden bowl we got for 77 cents at Goodwill, by the way. And this beautiful copa, chalice cup, we also got at Goodwill for about, I think, 55 or 77 cents. This is my mala bead set made out of bloodstone, which I got a while ago, which I'll probably make a separate video about, but I'll show it to you right now. I'll probably show it to you later in more detail. This is going to be kind of a hodgepodge video, a catching up kind of video. But yeah, those are my mala beads that I just keep in there. His soul cards, I got him this either for our anniversary or for his birthday, I can't remember, but these cards are just gorgeous. And I'll make a video about them in a bit as well. His tarot deck, some words of power, and our crystal grid for protection and whatnot. Over here we have the more masculine side, represented by air element and, well, I guess fire. And here we have the oil that I made for him, and this bottle I believe we got for like $1 at the Goodwill. This is kind of a general oil that I made for him a while ago, which I need to make a new batch. So I know recently someone commented on one of my oil recipe videos. I believe it was the St. Michael oil or the Guadalupe oil, I can't remember. But they were wondering when I was going to make another oil video. So I will, I promise, because I need to make or start brewing a new batch for my husband. But look how amazing this bottle is. Score Goodwill. And I love it has a star, or it looks like the sun on each side. So this oil is just a general protection, blessing, cleansing oil. I catered it specifically for my husband when I made it, but I also anoint myself every morning before I do my yoga practice with it as well. And yeah, that's our altar. The altar cloth is actually just a big pillowcase that we also got at Goodwill. And the altar table is just a small, cheap wooden table that we also got at Goodwill for $5. So in total, the wooden bowl and the new little things at Goodwill that we got and the altar table itself, we spent less than $10 to put this altar together, which is great. And we put it together and set it up. And of course we cleansed everything. I ran this through the washer and dryer. We physically and spiritually cleansed everything, of course. But we set everything up the night of the summer solstice, which was fantabulous. So yeah, that's our, mostly my husband's, but our altar. So this is the Mala prayer beads that I ordered back in May. It came in this beautiful little pouch, and I'll give the artist a little shout out. Bicycling Buddha. I found out about her Alyssa Lee on Etsy because I've been wanting a prayer bead set for a very, very long time. Almost said really and very at the same time. Really long time. And I discovered my love for bloodstone recently. I think it's my favorite crystal, or at least it's my current favorite crystal. So I really wanted some prayer beads or meditation beads made out of bloodstone, and this artist's bloodstone mala beads just blew me away. The beads are gorgeous, and it's not put together with that like stretchy string. I really don't like the stretchy string because I'm always afraid it's going to snap or wear down over time and then just fall apart. So I really like that she didn't use that. And there are these beautiful copper beads that she used to separate the different sections. And I love that they have the spiral, because the spiral is such a beautiful symbol for many things. And I also love that, oh, I think this bead has a name. I need to read more about mala beads, obviously, but I love that this has a Buddha head. And now, I'm not a Buddhist myself. I'm not an expert in Buddhism by any means, but I really love the mantra, I bow to the teacher within me. That has been a very healing and helpful mantra that I've been working with for probably a couple months now. And so I really love the idea of the teacher being present and just repeating that mantra to myself every time I reach this bead. I bow to the teacher within me. So yeah, it's so gorgeous. I love this. Paintings and what the Venus figurines actually meant to these people. Like, we're talking about people who lived thousands and thousands of years ago. But her whole, I guess, thesis in this book is the idea that we can still spiritually connect with them. They are our ancestors. And I know she focuses mostly on the European Ice Age and people in that region of the world, but it's I think the greater idea is that we all have a link through our genetics and through other, links. We have links with people who lived thousands and thousands of years ago, and it is possible to kind of spiritually connect with them and learn from their wisdom or their trials and errors even. So yes, Sacred Shadows, Ice Age Spirituality. I got the Kindle version, so I'm working through that. And I just recently got When God Was a Woman by Merlin Stone. I know this is kind of an oldie but goodie. I believe it originally was published 1976. So it's exploration in the divine feminine. I'm super excited to read this. I know you shouldn't take what an author says at face value. You should always read critically and curiously. So that's what I'm going to do. This is the first, besides Ice Age Spirituality, this is the second, I guess, book that I'm reading as a way to dedicate myself even more to my matron. So yes, I'm excited to start this one here soon. I'm still working through, slowly but surely, The Inward Arc, Healing and Psychotherapy and Spirituality by Frances Vaughn. I'm going to go more into depth about this when I finish it, of course, but also I'm planning on filming and uploading this weekend a new video for my Witching Through Grad School series, a video about accountability and taking responsibility over your choices. And some of the things that she says in this book has really helped me to solidify my ideas about that. So yes, be on the lookout for that video coming soon. Then we have the Garden of Fertility, a guide to charting your fertility signals to prevent or achieve pregnancy naturally and to gauge your reproductive health by Katie Singer. I know this is kind of a classic book about people who have a uterus who go through menstrual cycles and whatnot. It says to either prevent or achieve pregnancy naturally. So let me just give a caveat here. I personally would not depend just on the rhythm method or natural family planning. It can be a very effective method, but there are flaws to all forms of birth control, even ranging from condoms to natural family planning. There's always a margin of error. So I like to be aware of my cycle. I like to be aware of where I'm at in my cycle and if I'm ovulating or not or whatever. But my husband and I always use a backup method. And there's always plan B. So just that little caveat there. But I mostly got this book because I'm really interested in connecting and reconnecting more and more with my body, with my own fertility, and to just become more aware and connected of the different signals. And I flipped through this as the preview, with a preview on Amazon, and I believe that there are charts that you can use. You can see lots of charts here, but there are blank charts included, I believe, or note-taking pages that you can use for your own specific cycle. I think I just flipped through them. Yeah, here we go. Right, and I've been taking notes and charting my own cycle for the past 6 to 8 months now, I think. But I want to learn more. My husband and I are thinking of possibly making a baby sometime within the next 2 to 3 years. So yeah, this is gonna help me learn more just about my body and what it can do, and help me gauge my reproductive health. So I'm excited to work through this slowly but surely. And of course, I've shown this book before on my channel, but The Temple of Shamanic Witchcraft, I'm slowly working through this. I know this book is actually designed as a kind of a year and a day type of workbook. So after reading the first 4 introductory informative chapters, every chapter after that is kind of a more of a workbooky style that is really designed for a year and a day. So I'm taking that to heart, and I'm taking my time with it. I've read the 5th chapter. I probably need to reread it by now because it's been a while. And now I'm technically on chapter 6. So I'm really excited to continue to work with this book. So those are the witchy books, witchy used loosely. And now the academic books I've been reading include some novels and whatnot. I just finished last week Toni Morrison's Beloved. Holy shit! This is a book that I should have read a long time ago. It is the winner of the Nobel Prize in Literature and the Pulitzer Prize in Fiction, and there's a reason why. I'm assuming most of us have heard of Toni Morrison. She is a great, legendary African-American author, and if you haven't read this book, I highly recommend it. It is gut-wrenching and heart-wrenching and haunting. So I read that. I'm about to finish Los 4 viajes del almirante y su testamento. This is Christopher Columbus, or Cristobal Colon, his diaries about his 4 voyages to the New World, which actually were, I need to do some research about this, but actually Bartolomé de las Casas, he wrote part of this, so there's kind of a cool fictional element to this, which I'll probably discuss and research about for my dissertation. So boring as fuck, but very enlightening about the European perspective and perspective about the world and their place in the world. So really interesting, but boring at the same time, if that's possible. I just got this in the mail yesterday. I'm going to start reading it on Sunday. Rita Indiana, Papi. This is the English translation. Rita Indiana, she is from Santo Domingo in the Dominican Republic. This was translated by Achi Ovejas, and as you can see, I've actually met Achi Ovejas. She is a Cuban-American author. I've read a couple of her novels. She's a friend of my academic advisor, so that's how I met her. My advisor is also friends with Junot Diaz, and he's a Pulitzer Prize winning, MacArthur Genius Grant winning Dominican American author as well. My advisor knows some important people, so I've met those 2 people. But yeah, Rita Indiana, who's also a friend of my advisor, she's a Dominican author, songwriter, performance artist. Like, she does it all. This is a picture of her here. She has, her music videos are up on YouTube. If you just look up Rita Indiana, her music videos are wild. She plays around with gender. She does a lot of gender bending, a lot of performance art. It's incredible. So this was her first novel, and I'm reading it in the English translation because I trust Achi Ovejas, first of all, as a translator, because Achi Ovejas translated Junot Diaz's Pulitzer Prize winning novel from English to Spanish, and I've read both the English and Spanish versions. But also, Rita, she tends to include a lot of urban Dominican slang in her work, which I'm not familiar with. I'm very familiar with Chilean slang because of my husband. So just for time constraints, I'm reading this in English, but she has another novel that came out last year that is only in Spanish, which I'll be reading next, which will probably feature in my dissertation. So I'm really excited about this. And as far as theoretical works go, I'm currently reading Against War, Views from the Underside of Modernity by Nelson Maldonado Torres. He is a scholar, academic. This is very deep and heavy in philosophy because he's critiquing Western modernity and colonialism and racism and all those things from the underside, from the perspective of those who have suffered from racism and colonialism and anti-Semitism and things like that. So his three main theoretical hinges, or three axes from which he is creating this idea of against war, of denaturalizing the war ethic and the death ethic that he argues is an essential part of Western modernity. He focuses on Emmanuel Levinas, the Lithuanian-French Jew who survived World War II. He was in a German prison camp, and I believe he had family members who suffered and died in the concentration camps in the Holocaust. He also focuses on... oh, my mind is blanking. Frantz Fanon. Whew, my mind is tired, y'all. I've been reading a lot. Frantz Fanon, the Martinique black psychiatrist and author. He wrote The Wretched of the Earth, or Les Damnés, I guess in French. And he also wrote Black Skin, White Masks, which is a fundamental anti-colonial or decolonial text, which is also on my bookshelf and on my reading list for my exams. And lastly, he also, for this book, focuses on Enrique Dussel. Enrique Dussel was an Argentinian/Mexican post-colonial Latin American theologian and theorist who talked a lot about liberation theology. So he has the Jewish perspective, the atheist Black Martinican perspective, and the Christian Latin American perspective. So this has been fascinating and is also going to be fundamental for my own arguments and what I'm going to try to theorize and propose in my own dissertation, and probably my first book once I graduate and someday hopefully become a professor. So there you go. That's what I'm reading right now. Lots of witchy stuff and lots of dense academic stuff, but I love them both. So I hope you enjoyed my altar tour, my mala beads, the books that I showed you. And again, I apologize, it's been a really long time, over a month. I think it's the longest break I've taken from YouTube since I started 2 years ago. Earlier this month was my 2-year YouTube anniversary. But so let me just explain why it took forever. So we had to move. My husband's graduating, and I can officially say this now because he's about to receive the official letter from the department, but the same department that he's graduating from, they've hired him for a 1-year lecturer position. So they were looking to hire a new professor this past year. They didn't find anybody they liked, and then on top of that, one of the current professors is leaving or left already. So they had like 2 positions to fill, and they really needed somebody to cover those classes at least for a year while they try to hire new people. So my husband just slipped in there. It really felt, we learned this news back in like early May, I think, and we couldn't really talk openly about it because nothing was official. He hadn't received any official documents, and we were just afraid that they were going to pull out of the deal last minute. They didn't. So yes, so on top of being doctor husband, at least at the end of July, after he does all the revisions and defends his dissertation in July, he'll be doctor husband, and then once he starts teaching, he'll be professor husband. It's just a lecturer position, which is like a temporary professor position, but he'll have a real income, like a real adult income. Oh, he's gonna be my sugar daddy. Which means I won't have to work 4 jobs like I was doing last semester to cover our asses, and I'll actually be able to make progress on my exams because I'm about a semester behind on those. So good news all around. So yeah, so since he's graduating, we had to move. We were planning on moving originally in July, but it turns out we were living in family and graduate housing before, or at least he was living there. But they were basically kicking the grad students out of a certain number of buildings so that they could go in and renovate them and then allow undergraduates to move into them, because the university is renovating an undergraduate dorm, so they need the family housing buildings to house undergraduates. So they were kicking everybody out. And our building was included in one of those buildings. They were kicking everybody out, and we had to be out by June, mid-June. So instead of moving in July as we planned, we had to move in early June. And we only had like 2 or 3 weeks notice. Luckily, I had already started the apartment hunt. We found this amazing apartment. Oh! And we jumped on it. So I basically had to organize most of the move because my husband at the time, like late May, early June, he was still finishing the first complete draft of his dissertation. So I needed to help out and kind of take the reins in organizing the move so that he could have as much time as possible to finish writing that goddamn dissertation. So I did the apartment hunting, I scheduled the visits. He did come in with me to visit the apartments, and he was involved in the decision-making process, but I had to like take the reins and schedule the U-Haul and schedule the move and schedule the apartment visits and find the boxes, and I did a lot of the boxing of the books and organizing, packing the truck, and a lot of stuff. So that's why I was MIA for a while. But good news all around. I am a little bit behind in my reading for my exams, but you know, such is life. Sometimes you gotta adapt and change your plans. Our apartment is beautiful. It's all wood floors. We have 2 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms now. It feels like twice the amount of space that we had before. The price is still very affordable. The kitchen is bigger. We have a dishwasher finally. His old apartment here and my current apartment still up in Massachusetts, neither of our apartments had dishwashers. So finally we have a dishwasher. We have a washer and dryer in the unit, so we don't have to walk to a different building across a parking lot to do our laundry. Yeah, it's just a major upgrade, and it feels like it's about damn time. So yes, good news all around. He's at work right now. He's TAing a class with his advisor right now, so he'll be home shortly, so I better wrap this up. But yeah, that's where I've been at. I'm back though. I have a list of videos that I will record this summer. I know during the academic year when I'm up in Massachusetts, I have my own camera. First of all, I'm borrowing this camera. I had to leave my camera up there because just couldn't fit it in my luggage. So I had more access to a camera, and I had more control over my schedule to a certain extent, so I was producing at least one video per week. But now that it's the summertime and I want to spend time with my husband and I need to make progress on my exams and reading for my exams, so I can't promise a video every week, but I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 videos here that I want to do. I mentioned I need to make a new batch of blessing and protection oil for my hubby, so that's one video. I want to talk about also how I've really been bonding with bloodstone and how bloodstone has become, at least for now, my favorite crystal to work with. So I want to make a video about bloodstone. I have some book review videos that I might find time to do once I finally finish reading the books. And I want to talk about also getting to know my Capricorn self, because I was born on the cusp of Sagittarius and Capricorn, and I've always really identified with the Sagittarius side, but the older I get, the more I realize I need to become more aware of my Capricorn side, and my moon is in Capricorn, so I've become more and more aware of, like, damn, I'm more Capricorn than I thought I was. That's a good thing. It's been really enlightening, so I want to make a video about that. Yeah, I want to tell the stories about my tattoos. I have 4 tattoos, so I want to like make a little mini video series about the stories behind my tattoos. And I also have a video that I want to make for my Witching Through PhD series, a spell that I'm going to put together this weekend and talk about and record this weekend, a spell about accountability and taking responsibility for decision making and keeping on track with goals and whatnot. So I have the materials for the spell already. I'm looking at them right now. I just have to probably Saturday or Sunday talk about it in front of the camera and then record some things, and I'll probably have that up by sometime between Sunday and Tuesday. So yeah, more videos are coming. I promise I'll try not to take such a long break, but now you know why. I was MIA. And yeah, I hope everybody's having a splendid summer or winter, depending on which half of the planet you find yourself on. And until next time, many blessings. Bye.